Horses are majestic creatures, known for their beauty, strength, and companionship. But some horses have defied expectations, living decades longer than the average lifespan of 25 to 30 years. Today, we're counting down the 10 most long-lived horses in history. And trust me, you won't believe how old the number one horse lived to be. Before we begin, make sure to like and subscribe if you love amazing animal stories. It helps us bring more exciting content your way. 10. Badger, 51 years, 1953 to 2004. Consider Badger, the highly exceptional cross-Welsh Arabian horse from the UK who lived an astonishing 51 years. Horses do not usually live beyond their 30s, yet Badger survived their fate, making history as one of the longest-lived horses ever recorded. What makes Badger even more amazing is that he was neither a racing superstar nor a well-bred show horse. He was simply a favorite pet living a quiet existence with his owner. Unlike some of the long-lived horses on this list, Badger did not follow a special diet or receive any extraordinary medical care. He thrived under the loving environment found in his home, proving that happiness and love can sometimes be the most crucial aspects of living a long life. Badger had the spirit of a champion, even being a crossbreed. Many people mistook him for being a person based on his size. However, his qualities of endurance and resilience were unmatched by any. Over the years, his story gained publicity, and later he earned a place in the Guinness Book of World Records for having the longest life. Badger was made famous in his locality because of his mild manners and strong will. In the latter years, he remained active and would go for walks and enjoy pasture time. Badger died at the amazing age of 51, and even now, he remains a true legacy, signifying the strength of love, care, and resilience in animals. 9. Prospect Point, 38 years, 1978 to 2016. Now here is Prospect Point, a thoroughbred racehorse who lived such a life spanning an incredible 38 years, so much so that he made it into the record books as one of the longest-lived racehorses. Born in 1978, he began his life as a racehorse, running and racing, testing himself on the racetrack. Other racehorses retire quite early, and many do not live long after they hang up their competitive saddles because of the toll that racing has taken on their bodies. However, Prospect Point was different. Once he was done racing, he was sent to one of the horse sanctuaries in South Carolina for what remained of his days, where he settled so comfortably. This decision went a long way toward his incredible longevity, because, away from the daily pressures of racing, it provided the best care, a stressless environment, and plenty of pasture space to roam around in. It was certainly one of the elements that made a long life possible. Among those were genetics. Thoroughbreds are bred in such a way that strength and endurance would be found in each horse, and he inherited fabulous traits from his ancestors. With good nutrition, plus a consistently available medical care service, his body withstood the test of time until many years later, when he was strong enough to remain healthy and able to stay strong in his old age. What makes it even more fantastic is that even when aging, Prospect Point never really slowed down with age. He stayed active and very sociable, loving outdoor activities and interacting with caretakers. He eventually died at 38, a true legend in racehorses. His tale shows that if one has the right care and environment, the most vigorous careers do not have to end in a short life. 8. Magic, 51 years, 1969 to 2020. Some horses come into the world with a twinkle, and Magic was his twinkle. This Arabian horse traveled marvelous distances in life, living for an astounding 51 years, a true story of what the breed is capable of in terms of longevity. Magic, born in America, lived his entire life with the same loving family. Many horses change owners throughout their lives, and Magic's stable environment greatly contributed to his long, healthy life. He was more than a horse. He was family. He remained active well into his later years, still wandering around his pasture and enjoying time with his owners, even after reaching age. Magic is often regarded as breaking norms. Horses mostly tend to slow their pace by the time they reach their 20s. His remarkable energy and strong spirit made him a local legend. Magic's near the half mark for 50 years attracted the media when he was so great in age. Most people could not believe that a horse could live that long and be in such great shape. His story became an inspiration for horse lovers everywhere, showing that with the right care and a loving home, horses can live far beyond their expected years. In 2020, Magic passed away, leaving behind a lifetime of endurance, love, and companionship. Arabian horses are built to last, and his life is a perfect example of that. Magic's legacy will always be cherished in the list of longest-living horses in history. 7. Sugar Puff, 56 years, 1951 to 2007. Next, here is a little horse boasting a big record. Sugar Puff, a Shetland Exmoor crossbreed from the UK, who went on to astoundingly add 56 years to his life. Tiny, but he was a giant in the longest-living world. He was officially recognized for the longest recorded pony life. Sugar Puff was not a racehorse, a show pony, or a champion in competitions. He was just a pony, beloved beyond measure by his owner, who had cared for him as a family that made all the difference. This is because ponies live longer than most horses, but Sugar Puff was particularly remarkable in this aspect. His average day consisted of grazing and enjoying his stable, and he also got to spend time with his owner. He had no stress in his life. The years progressed, and so now, even with all odds stacked against them, Sugar Puff kept proving everyone wrong. Even at 50, he was fit and happy, an almost extraordinary sight among horses. The buzz his story made garnered much attention, and the official recognition came. Sugar Puff died in 2007, leaving the world a huge mark in history. He proved that love, care, and a peaceful life can stretch an animal's years much farther than one would ever conceive. It inspires housekeepers to make every moment spent with their loving companions count. 6. Orchid, 50 years, 1964 to 2015. Some horses live long lives, and very few have withstood the challenges that Orchid did. This thoroughbred/Arabian hybrid, despite being born under terrible conditions, went on to become one of the oldest mares ever recorded, living for 50 years. Life began biased against Orchid. Any neglect was eclipsed by horrible odds and an uncertain future. Everything changed when Orchid was rescued and brought to an animal sanctuary in the UK. She was able to experience love and care for herself for the first time in her life. In contrast to the many horses on this list, Orchid did not live in comfort during her early years, but instead endured many years of hardship, making her lifespan all the more remarkable. Upon rescue, she finally had the benefit of peaceful living, where food, medical treatment, and safety were provided for her. Consequently, she became a symbol of fortitude for all horses. Though she did have a rough past, Orchid passed gently, exuding kindness, reinforcing the idea that every horse deserves a second chance. Her story resonates with many, and she became a spokesperson for the older horse rescue and coupled it with love. Orchid died in 2015, but her story, one of transition from suffering to safety, shall never be forgotten. If nothing else, she is a reminder that every horse deserves a second chance, and just now and then, those new beginnings can be long ones filled with great life. 5. Taffy, 52 years, 1956 to 2008. Ponies are known for long lives, but Taffy of Welsh origin and Welsh breed takes it a step further and lived unbelievably for 52 years. After all, it is a great story that teaches how an ordinary existence somewhat dominated by love is responsible for extraordinary longevity. In Taffy's early days, he lived as a farm horse, helping with daily work and chores and helping his owners. With the advancing years, his status had changed from a working pony to a cherished family pet. This transition in lifestyle provided comfort and care, thus enabling him to thrive for over half a century. Even in his declining years, Taffy was curiously active. Such long-lived ponies slowed down considerably, but Taffy trotted about, ate grass, and played with his family. Far above his counterparts aged 30, he was simply blessed with good genetics and well cared for. This story shows how companionship means everything. Unlike racehorses or show horses, Taffy never attained any celebrity status, yet the deep affection from his owners must have meant something to him in this life. In 2008, Taffy passed on at the amazing age of 52 and left behind an astounding legend of probably the oldest Welsh pony ever on record. The story of Taffy proves one simple principle: that a peaceful and loving home can prolong the life of a horse beyond reasonable expectations. 4. Old Billy, 62 years, 1760 to 1822. If you think a 52-year-old horse is old, prepare for the records. Old Billy, who was the longest-lived horse in recorded history, astoundingly lived to 62 years. Born in England in 1760, Old Billy had no pampered life, far from it. He had a barge horse pulling several tons of heavy cargo boats along canals for decades. That was hard work for him. Most horses often died painfully early for having been made to do that. But Old Billy was no common horse. Despite the rugged conditions of his job, Billy was in excellent health. Some historians think it was down to great genetics and reasonable care that he was able to live well beyond any known age of horses. Most barge horses were more likely to die in their 20s, and Old Billy just continued for 62 years. The odd lifespan brought him fame, and the records are filled with references to him. Today, one could say his skull is preserved in a museum, which should intrigue anyone with even a moderate interest in equine history. Old Billy's story is one of hope. He had a hard life, but that hard life became one where he proved resilience and strength, leading to prolonged longevity. As much better as modern horses are treated, no horse since has matched the record. More than 200 years later, he is still celebrated as a paragon of endurance. Old Billy is the oldest horse recorded in history. 3. Shayne, 51 years, 1962 to 2013. Shayne wasn't just old, he was one of the healthiest senior horses ever recorded. This Irish draft crossbreed lived to the shining age of 51 years, enjoying the last of his days in comfort at a sanctuary in the UK. What made Shayne special was not just his age, but his calm and gentle temperament. Irish draft horses are generally appreciated for their strength and industriousness, but Shayne's placid nature warmed the hearts of caretakers and visitors alike. Unlike so many older horses, Shayne was neither fragile nor weak. He was a picture of health well into his 40s, thanks to diet and exercise. His caretakers made sure Shayne got the right mix of food in his later life. His quality of life directly influenced his longevity. Instead of the stresses of a job or bad treatment, Shayne's days were spent peacefully, grazing, social interactions, and just enjoying life in the sanctuary. These caretakers feel that this low-stress environment greatly contributed to Shayne's long life. Having died in 2013, Shayne stands as a bright example of how good care can enhance a horse's lifespan. While many other horses are burdened with the trials of old age, Shayne maintained his active disposition for decades, reflecting that given the right environment, horses can truly shatter all expectations. 2. Buster, 40+ years, exact years unknown. Concerning longevity, Buster is one of the most enigmatic horses on this list. Being a mixed breed from Australia, Buster's exact birth and death years are uncertain, though court records state that he lived for over 40 years, an extraordinary age for any equine. Unlike racehorses or show horses, he lived in a rural setting with plenty of space to roam free for the rest of his life. They thought that the absence of stress in his life had a fundamental impact on Buster's longevity. Instead of going through rigorous training or back-breaking labor, he just lived the good life, which accounts for his well-earned old age. With nutrition being another important factor, his owners always ensured he had a steady supply of good feed so that he could obtain all the right vitamins and minerals for his well-being. So, in conjunction with the relaxed lifestyle, Buster beat the odds and continued to live far beyond those healthy years that any horse should have lived. Although not as well known as some of the other horses on the list, Buster's longevity made him significant in Australia, to the extent that he became celebrated as one of the oldest known horses in the country. His story epitomizes that with the right balance between diet, environment, and low stress, a horse can live for an exceptional age. No war horse or record breaker, Buster nevertheless deserves his place in the annals of horse history for his advanced age and simple, peaceful life. 1. Charlie, 52 years, 1766 to 1818. Charlie, a horse with a legendary past, is at the very top of our rankings. Born in 1766, Charlie was no ordinary horse, a war horse. He carried the Duke of Wellington, one of Britain's most famous military commanders, into battle. The story of Charlie is both fascinatingly historical and mystifying. He is thought to have participated in battles, trotting through the fog of war with soldiers on his back. Many war horses died or got too lame to work after a few years of service. The opposite is true of Charlie, who survived service and made history through an astonishing 52 years of life. After long tenures in military service, Charlie now had a peaceful lifestyle where he received maximum care and love. The owners appreciated his historical importance and ensured that the horse lived in comfort. It is anyone's guess how much that contributed to his longevity, but it saved him from wars. When he died in 1818, he was honored with a decent burial, rarely accorded to a horse at that time. However, other historians have been debating whether his real age was 52 or not. In contrast, there are still many records supporting that claim. To put it in perspective, the debate over age aside, Charlie's legacy as one of the oldest and most historically significant horses lives on. His story simply proves that under the harshest of circumstances, a horse manages to stay alive and create history. These incredible horses defied expectations and lived far beyond their years. Their stories of endurance, care, and history continue to amaze us. Fun fact: proper care, genetics, and sometimes pure luck played a huge role in their longevity. Which horse surprised you the most? Comment below and subscribe for more amazing animal stories.